Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a tour of a cell, more specifically the animal cell. Yeah, the other cell is the plant cell, so I'll get to the differences at the end of the tour. Hope you enjoy! The first thing you see here is the cell membrane. As you can see, the cell membrane is made up of two layers. These are layers of lipids, mostly phospholipids. It's called a lipid bilayer. The head is polar and hydrophilic, which means it likes water, like a fish. There are also two tails. The tails are nonpolar and hydrophobic, which means it doesn't like water, like a cat, you could say. There are also two types of proteins, which are integral and peripheral. Integral proteins go all the way through the membrane, and peripheral are only on either side of the membrane. See those little things moving through the cell membrane? Those are molecules moving in and out of the cell through passive transportation. Passive transportation does not require energy from the cell. Molecules move from an area of high concentration to low concentration, which is like you stepping off of a full bus, like this one, into an empty outside environment. Though I wouldn't suggest you do that now. What you see here is the other transport. This is called active transport. You see those molecules go into that chamber? That chamber is called a protein transport, which will take the molecules across the cell membrane. The difference between these two transport is that active transport requires energy from the cell. The energy is called ATP, which is produced by the mitochondria, which we will see soon enough. Now that we have gotten through the cell membrane, we enter this water-like area. Well, it actually is mostly water, but it also contains proteins. This is called the cytoplasm, which is basically the area between all of the organelles in the cell. We are now headed to the nucleus. You can think of the nucleus like the power box outside of a house. It controls many things. The nucleus actually controls most cell processes, and it's so important because it makes proteins, which is one of the main functions of the cells. The nucleus is protected by a double membrane layer called the nuclear envelope. This envelope has thousands of nuclear pores, which allows materials in and out of the nucleus. The nucleus also contains DNA attached to proteins, which is called chromatins. The chromatins are usually loose, but when a cell splits, these chromatins become super dense and is called chromosomes. Also inside the nucleus, the nucleolus. Let's test that now. So the little nucleus, that's basically what nucleolus means. The role of the little nucleus is the start of ribosomes. That may not seem important, but it really is. I'll explain that later. We are now going to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, rough ER for short. This ER gets its name from the ribosomes attached to its walls, which gives it a rough look. The job of the rough ER is to take in newly produced proteins and modify them, and also assemble components of the cell membrane. The ribosomes attached are made of a large and small subunit. Proteins are assembled on ribosomes. Ribosomes get instructions from the nucleus. The ribosomes that are attached to the rough ER are called bound ribosomes. There are also ribosomes around the cytoplasm, which are called free ribosomes. This is only one part of the ER though. Let's move on to the next one. Opposite of the rough ER, this is called the smooth ER. As you can see, there are no ribosomes attached. The smooth ER contains collections of enzymes that perform tasks like synthesis of lipids. After tasks performed by the ERs, the protein moves on to UPS. Well, this really isn't UPS, but it can really be compared to UPS. This organelle is called the Golgi apparatus. Like UPS, the Golgi packages the proteins with carbohydrates and lipids. The Golgi then ships out the protein to vesicles. Vesicles are like the trucks or planes of UPS. They carry the Golgi products to the cell membrane, then fuses with the membrane to release the contents to the outside of the cell. A little larger than the vesicles, vacuole stores materials in the cell. The vacuole is one of the main differences between the plant and the animal cell, but we're saving that part to the end. Now, what does your stomach do? It breaks down food after you swallow it. Well, the organelle called the lysosome does basically the same thing. It breaks down lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins so it can be used by the rest of the cell, breaks down old organelles, and removes debris in the cell. Remember the ATP I mentioned before? Well, this organelle here creates it. The mitochondria uses the energy from food to produce ATP. Mitochondria has two layers. The inside layer is folded and is the place where ATP is produced. Now what are these two pairs? These are called the centrioles. They are involved in cell division. We are almost done with our tour. Just a little bit more information. Here is a plant cell. See the thick outer wall? Yes, that big glob does look like a swimming pool, doesn't it? Oh, and the green organelles. Well, you just named the three major differences between a plant and animal cell. The thick layer is the cell wall, which is structure for the plants. The swimming pool looking part is the central vacuole for the plant to hold water. And the green organelles are chloroplasts, which makes food for the plant. Believe it or not, there is also a cell theory. The three factors are all living things are composed of cells. Cells are the basic units of structure and function in living things, and new cells are produced from existing cells. We are all finished with our tour of the animal cell. I hope you learned something. Now, if you have any questions, contact me the way cells communicate. A cell phone! Good day.